Hey everyone, it's Young Skeleton here again, and in today's video I want to talk about bosses and what team I think is the theoretical best at killing them. So let's get right into it, shall we? Okay, first of all, let's get philosophical. What is a boss? A boss is a concept in video games, a character that is stronger than most and that is a gatekeeper for harder content and usually a reward also. So in War Divisions, the two hardest types of boss that we have right now are the Trials of Reckoning boss and the raid bosses. I don't know if there's a way to show Trials of Reckoning bosses in the calculator, so I'm just gonna go with raid bosses and let's take a quick look at them, right? Also, only at the max level we don't have anything to gain, like looking at the lowest level, because we wanna like this is a team for killing bosses that are hard, right? There's no sense in optimizing something that is easy and that can be done with an unoptimized team. Uh, so okay, a boss has a lot of HP, a lot of damage potential, is usually fast, and it also has the resistances, which is what we're focusing on. But let's take it slow, shall we? Okay. Behemoth King has no defense and no spirit. Now the Tonberry, on the other hand, has a lot of defense and spirit. They both don't have any like really great elemental resistances. They're weak to whichever element you expect them to be. Behemoth King is weak to light, and Tonberry is weak to ice, and he has a bit of earth resistance, but like two other elements, he's fine fighting against them. And the damage type, they're like they don't have a lot of resistances. They have a bit of weakness to one type for the unit that's coming out, like during their raids, but not like crazy resistances. Now, if we take a look at the other raid, Two-Headed Dragon, this is a much harder raid. First of all, because like the Two-Headed Dragon has 15% weakness to dark, but 15% resistance to every other element. And okay, he has a weakness to pierce, but a lot of resistance to other damage types. And the same thing goes to the Flame Priestess. 15% weak against ice, but 20% weak against everything else except earth because she's 30% strong against earth. And damage resistance, strong against everything except for projectile. So, what are ways that we increase our damage against bosses? The first way that's kind of obvious to War Divisions players is chaining. So what are chains? If you're new to the game and you still don't know about chains, check this out. If you do consecutive instances of damage, uh, like using the same element type or damage type, you will get more damage. What this means is if you have four characters that deal fire damage, and they all use their spells one after the other, the fourth will deal more damage than the previous ones. Uh, and this like doesn't need to be like in a four interval. If you do two, the second will deal more than the first one, the third will deal more damage than the second one, and so on and so forth, right? And the same thing goes if you're using like uh I know three characters that deal slashing damage, three swordsmen. If you the more you attack using the same type of damage, the more damage that you deal, basically. And this works for both and can work at the same time. So if you have three characters that are both light element and deal slashing type damage, you will get a huge bonus for damage for doing slash light attacks. So that leads us to our first conclusion, uh, that to kill bosses in a effective way, we want our teams to have characters that can deal the same damage type, but also the same elemental damage type. So if possible, we want all of our characters to deal, for instance, fire and piercing damage, or earth and projectile damage, or water and slashing damage. And the only exception to this rule is magic damage. Um, I'm gonna make a quick parenthesis here, but you can deal. I think this is an awful translation. This should have been intelligence, because every new player confuses magic with magic attack. Those are two separate statuses. I don't really have a good way to explain this like very concisely, so here goes nothing. There are attacks that are not magic type that use magic to get stronger. A very good example of that is Halloween Ryu or Howlet. They use slashing attacks that don't get stronger with your attack, but with your magic stat. And yeah, that's it. And so so let's get back to what I was talking about, which is the only exception is the magic. If you deal consecutive magic type damage, you will not get chaining, a chain. If you have like four Medinas and they all use Flare, you will not get any chaining because Flare has no element and it is magic damage type, but it doesn't chain. But if you have like four Medinas and they all use Blizzard or Blizzaga, you will not get a damage type chain, but you will get the ice type chain. So keep that in mind. So with that in mind, we reach our second conclusion, that we don't want to use magic damage type to chain. So that is a good thing to remember. So what are the teams that can really chain, right? Let's take a look, and I'm gonna take a look at JP because this is important. So let's take a look, and I'm gonna look at all elements except the top three, in my opinion, and then I'll look at the top three and say which one I think is the strongest. So fire. Fire has a good base because it has Rain and Delita, which are both very strong fire slashers. They have a problem because Delita is a physical attacker and Rain's a magic attacker. But can be like that can be compensated for because Rain has a three-hit attack that deals a lot of damage. Fire characters also have Adelard, which is a fire character with access to Imperil. So for some reason, Deletas and Rain's fire resist break stack, and you can also stack Imperil, which is an attack that lowers elemental resistance to all elements. So you would have a boss that's extremely vulnerable to fire if you bring these these three characters. But Adelard is not very good at slashing chains, so you would lose one chainer, which is okay, but you don't really have a another good slash chainer. Some could argue Seymour, but I don't think he's strong enough, and he doesn't have a lot of multi-hit attacks. Uh, so this makes Fire an almost like top tier boss killing comp, but I don't think it's very good. Wind. Uh, Again, you have a strong start, but you don't really have a solid team. You have characters that are very strong, like Little Lila, but she deals magic type damage. So yeah, not very good for chaining. You have Howlet, which deals magic slash attacks, and you have two other slashers. So these three, they could theoretically go into a team, but again, he's a mage. He deals slashing magic attacks, and these two deal physical magic attack. Not physical magic, physical slashing attack. Forgive me. So and none of them have good multi-hit attacks. Although he has a very good wind break, wind resistance break, the like no one has multi-hit attacks, and you don't really have other breaks. So I really think that Wind Slash is not really good. You have Lucia, and she is amazing. But the problem is, if we're talking about content that you cannot use repeated characters, which is only raids in multiplayer, if you want to do it by yourself, Wind is also not really strong. Earth in JP has something going for it. You have Christmas Venera and Kiton. They both have Dream Within a Dream, which is an amazing um, multi-hit attack. And you have Halloween Raryu, but again, it's similar to the Wind. It's better than the Wind because these two have like the one of the best multi-hit attacks in the game. Um, and like Halloween Raryu can break Earth resistance, but it's still not quite there. It's missing like one or two better characters. So I would say it's also not top tier. Lightning, it's so rough. Again, it's almost good. Skull and Celir could potentially do magic chains, but again, it's magic chain, so it's not as good as other types of chain. Uh, the Lightning has Mariluk for Imperial, so it's and in type damage. How do I say this? Let's take a quick detour right here. Every green mage has this skill called Imperil, and it decreases elemental resistance for everyone. And I know I said this about uh, what's his name, the Fire Adelard, yeah. But the thing is, if you use this with and you can use this like theoretically with any character. You could use Adelard in Thunder chaining teams, but the thing is, after you use Imperial for the first time, like what else do you use? You don't want your character to be useless. You could use like these attacks, but having a character cast Impero and either starting the elemental chain or not breaking the elemental chain can be such a huge deal, and that's why I think it's actually kind of cool to have like a green mage in your element. So Lightning has that, and Orlando has a defense break, but we don't have any other like really strong Lightning slash chainers. You have two very strong missile chainers, especially because I think they both get double shot, which is a pretty good skill, but it is still like on the brink of getting good. Water is a bit more confusing. In JP, it has Titus for good chaining, and Christmas Ramada. I think she gets multi-hit attack from the Exorcist vision card, so there's that. You have two missile chainers in JP. Tyrell, you can use him. I use him, but it's not ideal. Uh, Miranda, you can use her for both magic chains, which are not good, and for pierce chains because she has a two-hit pierce attack, but it's still not amazing. So yeah, all of those elements they have things going for them, but they're not really that good. Uh, oh yeah, also water and wind have cards that increase their respective elemental attacks. Also, I'm pretty sure that fire also has one. Yeah, you have cards that raise fire damage, wind damage, and water damage. And you don't have that with ice, you don't have that with earth, and I believe you don't have that with light too. But for other reasons, I'm gonna now move to the top three, and you guys already know what it is, but there's probably a twist there. Light is probably the third best, especially in JP. Uh, you have Cecil and Ramza with awesome multi-hit attacks. Um, let me take a look over here. I should have done this before, but I forgot. Hmm. Yeah, she does not have a break, it seems. Yep. So light characters, what they lack is a good break. Like, what the hell? You don't have like any good light breakers, if I'm not mistaken. You don't have any light characters that can break defense, that can break light resistance, and that can chain well at the same time. But you have a lot of chainers and you have a lot of options. Again, Rams and Sasu. Sasu, especially in global, available to everyone. Rob is an amazing chaining character. He doesn't have multi-hit attacks or breaks, but he's so accessible, and he deals a lot of damage with very little AP consumption. Who else? Thancred, same thing with Rob, but more damage, and I believe he's faster than Rob. You have Mariel, Vistral, and Phoebe, which are okay. Like Phoebe's a good support, but not really a good chainer. But Vistral and Mariel can work as chainers properly, as two proper chainers. Warrior of Light can be okay too, but I don't think he's very good because he's low. Same thing with Thancred and Elturel. Uh, I believe she is very strong because she also has a 3-hit attack that has 4 uses actually. So you have Cecil, Ramza, Elturel, and you can just shove in who else you want. And even if you don't have like one of them, you can like there's just so many light slash attackers that it's easy to make a team. And there is I think Chocobo raises a light attack, if I'm not mistaken, the red Chocobo card. Uh, and that is very useful in this case, even though the bestowed ability wouldn't be that good in this scenario, but still. Now let's move to the second place, and many people would say that this is the best team, but I disagree. Dark Slash is really strong because you have Venera, Stern, Ruin Stern, Gefgarion, Shadow Lynx, Whisper, and you also have Jiza, which is not really a chainer, but she can do slash chains, and she has a steal time. So this element has 2 steal time users, a vision card that raises dark damage, and has defense break. I don't know. Let me take a look over here. Again, I should have done this beforehand, but I don't remember. I actually did, but I don't remember. Yeah. So you with dark characters you have defense breaks, but you don't have dark resist breaks. In JP, you have now in global with Dwayne, but you don't have slash resistance breakers. And you have a lot of multi-hit attacks with Shadow Lynx and Venera. And I think, again, I'm sorry for doing this, but yeah, you also have 2-hit attack from Knight of Ruin Stern. And you have like a lot of accessible characters with Shadow Lynx and Gefgarion, two very, very common characters. Stern is very common too, and also Whisper. They have been in the game for a long time, so a lot of people have them leveled. And like this is like a classic team everyone uses, but now let me talk about the team that I think is actually the best. Ice chaining is so strong, and that's insane. I'm gonna cut back on GP and go to global here and show the team that I think is the strongest team in the game for chaining. So, why do I think Ice is so strong? Okay, first of all, let's start from Chell. Ch Chell, she uh, she has these jobs, and she's a main job Green Mage, and she can Imperil from turn 1. She can D-Shell, D-Protect, but you don't really need that because you have other characters that can do similar things, and she has also Thief sub-job, so and you can use like Time Mage also. So she can Imperil and doesn't need AP, to do her job. So and she can also steal time, and she can also haste, she can also vitalize, and and that's just so much utility, like doing Imperil without breaking or starting already the ice chain. And she doesn't need Green Mage sub for Imperil. And depending on the job on the boss, she can either use steal time or she can haste her teammates. Now let's go to Gilgamesh because he's also in the game for a long time. And this is theoretical. If you miss like one of these three characters, I think Dark Slash is already better. But let's say theoretically you have all of this. All of these characters also get ice weapons that no other element has for some goddamn reason. Ice characters have weapons that raise ice damage, and they raise ice damage by a lot. Gilgamesh, he has a slash resistance break. Let's go back here. And Gilgamesh skills decrease slash resistance by almost 40%. That's insane. Uh, let's go back. Agrias, she she again slash character. All of these characters are slash damage, by the way, including Victoria because she has soldier and thief. But we'll talk about her in a second because she's just an afterthought. Agrias, she has an attack that's called Full Break, and guess what? It breaks every single stat of the enemy. It breaks defense and spirit by 20, a lot, and you can also get negative defense this way. By the way, if you didn't know, you can break defense and get defense to negative, and also breaks attack and magic. So if it's a boss that you cannot prevent from attacking, you can actually break their attack and magic so they deal less damage, and 40% a lot, and good damage also. And finally, the character that I think is the star of the team. Oops, not this one. Spoiler alert. Lastful gets purple lightning, huge amount of damage, like 50% extra damage. Not 50% extra damage in the end, but a huge amplification. This is so much extra damage. It is a piece of UR gear, though, but if you get that, guess what? Laswell, he gets. Where is it? No, that's not it. I'm sorry. Oh, here it is. He gets this attack that decreases ice resistance by 38%, which is insane. It's a lot. And he also gets a 2-hit attack in his sub-job, like Knight of Grandsheld sub-job. So the weakness of this team for now is that it does not have a lot of multi-hit attacks. But having a triple break like that, in my opinion, makes up for it. And finally, the nail in the coffin, or the cherry on the top of the cake, is Victora, because she can also act as a time stealer, and she can also use soldier subjob if she wants to deal damage, if she cannot steal time. Um, in any case, this is the bare minimum that I think. If you don't want to run Victora, if you don't have her, if you have like these three characters but don't have Victora, uh, or if it is a content that only allows for characters raids, you don't need to run Victora. These are more important, like way more, because you get like all breaks, multi-hit attacks, and support. I would think that this is a more is a stronger team, and these are like the cards and equipment that I think is most important. Uh, for Chell, you want her to be as fast as possible, and you don't want a TMR that requires her to use a skill. So I ended up going for Phoebe's hat. You can also use Venera's shoes, but I don't know, just to show like this is the bare minimum. Uh, Agrias sword on Gilgamesh, I think. You could honestly just swap these two out, like the swords between Agres and Gilgamesh, and there wouldn't be much difference. Uh, I, d- I mean, this is not the bare minimum, but this is what I think is the best, right? Uh, on Lasso, you have Purple Lightning for as much damage as possible, speed with the Ramses card, and if you don't have it, you can use a Chocobo card, no worries. This is for extra AP generation, so you don't run out of AP, and extra attack, extra slash attack. And again, the problem right now is that you don't have extra ice attack cards in global. This is a global team because when in the future we will get a character that will make this team like absolutely imbalanced. And Auron, okay, first of all, increase ice attack for ice ally, just insane. Increase HP for ice ally, it's okay. But not only that, he gets a I'm sorry, he gets another multi-hit attack that should make like just this, just Auron should make like ice characters be completely bonkers for killing bosses. So if we go back to bosses, let's go back to Two-Headed Dragon. So let's think about it for a second. We would be lowering his defense by 20, so he would be minus 20 defense. What else? We would be lowering his slash resistance by, oops. Let's look at hero first. We would be lowering his ice resistance by 38%, so he would already be in the negative. We would be lowering his slash resistance by 38% again, so he would be in the negative here. And again, usually if you try to apply the same status twice, even if with different skills, it does not work. So if you use like Rosa's Ice Break and Lasso's Ice Break, it won't work. The exception of that is Imperil, because Imperil does not decrease elemental resistance by like ice resistance. It decreases all elemental resistances, so it's technically not the same debuff. So it would be lowering by a further 25% here. So minus 10, minus 48 ice resistance on Two-Headed Dragon, and minus I think 13%, minus 20 defense. You would be killing this boss extremely quickly with the ice team that I described. The downside is that it is so expensive to make. Uh, it is only really accessible for like really people that were either willing or that like were really planning on using ice characters. When I started the game, I actually wanted to do this. Not this specifically. I didn't have fucking future sight or anything, but I did want to make like ice teams. I thought ice characters looked the coolest in the game. Uh, but I kind of dropped that because I never got Gilgamesh, and yeah. But I think that ice chaining in the future could be like the best way because uh, it either they'll release more things, more characters with dark breaks or a dark character with a slash break, or but otherwise, I think it's very hard for another team to catch up to ice. Because the only thing that it's missing in global right now is Auron and a card that raises ice damage. And the only thing that it's missing in JP, and please someone correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if in JP they have a ice damage up card. But yeah, that's the only thing that I can see it missing. Because like those are all like you only need one more card, and this card they left it open because you know I don't really know what to put in here. And honestly, you don't really need anything. You could run Odin for more resistance or Golem for more HP, but yeah, you don't really need anything. There's nothing that's required here. Even this is not required, but I think I put it in here just because I think it's the best. And also this team is kind of shaky. If you don't have Gilgamesh at 89, or if you don't have Agrias, or if you don't have like a at least a plus for Shiden, I don't really think that this team is stronger than Dark Slash anymore. Still stronger than Light Slash though, I'm pretty sure. But still, this is a very good team to at least keep in mind. If you have these characters and you never use them because you never thought of them as stronger than Dark Slash, I urge you to try it and see for yourself. The results are really, I mean, on paper I don't have this team, but like on paper this should be so much better than Dark Slash. This is gonna be it for today. This is kind of a long video. I have another video coming up that I've actually already recorded, but I think I'm gonna record again. It's about the design of the three gunners, and there's a Dwayne video coming out soonish. I'm trying to do like everyone's doing like Dwayne Cecil. I'm trying to do something with Dwayne to counter Dwayne Cecil, but we'll see about that. So this is gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in the video about the gunners. See you guys soon. Bye bye.